Okay, so I had already gave the shots and the analysis for the snake and the Doritos, and also the lanes. But I just want to go over those and retouch it in this video, just so, there's no confusion or anything like that. Plus, it's, going to be pretty useful for when we start going over the other stuff. Just so you already know what everyone's going to be doing. Like I said before, the snake has the best shots at the snake 4. However, at snake 1, you can catch people playing sloppy. You can shoot that can. You can shoot the temple, the back center, the pillar, and the mini race. And then as you come up into snake 2 has a better shot in the can and the temple, as well as the back center. It's just a slightly better angle than you get from snake 1. And you also have a shot on the D3. It's not the best shot, but you can shoot over the wedge and hit people in the head if they're sitting too high in that Dorito and not playing up tight to it on the outside of it. You also get a shot in the Dorito corner as well. The only thing different between the snake 1 and snake 2 really is that corner shot and that pillar shot that you get in snake 1. Everything else is pretty much the same. As for the 50 snake, you just get a better angle on the temple in the center and on that Dorito 3. The 50 snake's really not all that great. Most of the time you're just going to want to go right past it and just go straight to snake 4. It's really the bunker you want to get to every time you get into the snake, because you can shoot everything from there. You can shoot that can, you can shoot all the Doritos, you can shoot the temple, you can wrap and shoot the Aztecs in the back center. So you really just want to get to the snake 4. The snake 1, snake 2 you can possibly stop at and check for shots, but you can't rely on those. You don't want to stay there for too long. 50 snake, you really don't want to go to it. You want to try and go past it and get into snake 4 and just shoot everything. As for the Doritos, you want to get to their Dorito 3 every single time. And that should be in the back of your head if you're playing a Dorito side. Like, hey, I got to get to their Dorito 3. That's where all the kills are. Just like how a snake, when you're playing that snake side, all the kills are at snake 4. Well, that's how this Dorito side is. The kills are all at Dorito 3, and you want to get up to that Dorito 3. The D1's pretty bad, which is why I don't have anyone going to that mini race off the break, because really you're forced to either go inside up to the Dorito 2 or go outside to the D1, because making that run to the Dorito 3 isn't really feasible, and there's no point of going inside up to that Dorito 2 from the mini race, which is why I have you guys just breaking out to that to the D2 instead of going to that mini race. But if you come out to that corner, which I do have you guys doing the breakout, and to play the corner, you're going to want to move up to that D1 and then to the D3, but you're not going to want to move up to that D1 unless they're out of the can or they're not in that temple shooting D side. Because as soon as you get into that D1, you're pretty much trapped from that guy in the can or the temple shooting Dorito side. And it's a hard bunker to fight out of. I'd only go here if you're coming out of that corner, but at that moment you should also know if they're in that can or not. But for the shots in D1, you have a shot inside at the can and at the temple, but like I said, you don't want to battle those guys, so I wouldn't go into this D1 with people there. But as for the outside shots on that D1 go, your Dorito 3 blocks a lot of the Dorito side for you, so really you only got a shot on the corner, and then you're going to want to try and wrap around your Dorito and shoot at back at your mirror on the D1. And that's who you're going to shoot at and just trying to get into the D3. But if they're inside at that can in the temple, you need to shoot at them before you make that move and make sure they can't shoot you through that gap. The Dorito 2, you have shots at the can, at your mirror, at the mini race, the corner, the D1, and the D3. It just depends on the breakout. You're either going to focus inside on that can if they break out to that can, or shoot at the widest guy on the Dorito side. So it could either be the D3, the corner, the mini race, or your mirror. It just depends on what your breakout is and what their breakout is. If you have that guy shooting from the back center D side, he's gonna have, he's gonna be locking down that widest guy. So you can focus on that can then from the inside and try and get him out if they break out to that can, because he's what's stopping you from moving. You're going to shoot at that guy and then make your bump out to the Dorito 3 and then move down the field as you get going. because you have to eliminate that can to get down the field. As for shooting the outside, like say you get your player into the corner on that breakout, he can shoot at that can on the inside, and you can focus on the widest guy, or he can focus on the widest guy, and then you shoot that can. I mean, it just depends on which way you guys want to do it and which way you're most comfortable with. Both ways work just as fine. It just depends on what your team can handle and what your team's more comfortable doing. But both methods, just as fine. But that's going to be the shots for that. I'm always going to recommend shooting tape side though, and keeping your mirror in and letting that corner, handle the the back duties by helping you get up the field, and vice versa. Unless your guy's stuck in that in the back center shooting that lane, then I recommend battling with that can and really getting rid of that guy, because he's just going to be a nuisance the rest of the game if you don't get him out. And as you're going into the Dorito from the pillar, which I'll explain later, you're going to be shooting at that can anyways. So you're going to know if he's in there or not, and if you should shoot at him or not. So we'll get into that later, though, as we break down that other position, because you're going to be moving from that pillar into the Dorito 2 most of the time. I'm pretty sure I have it every point, actually. So we're going to get over that a little bit later, though. So we'll touch base on that. As for the Dorito 3, you get shots on the can, the temple, a blind shot onto the Aztec in the corner. When you get in here, though, you want to focus on your tape. Shoot your mirror in the corner, and then wrap on the outside and try to eliminate people and move up. If you're stuck in this bunker, though, say they have a guy in that can or in that temple and you're going here off the break like having that one breakout, then fish the inside for those shots I mentioned earlier. But you really want to stay on the tape side and try and battle your mirror, stay the widest guy out, and wrap that outside and put pressure on them. Then move up the field and get to their Dorito 3 eventually and get all the rest of the kill shots. The 50 Dorito really doesn't have much of a shot on anything from the inside, but the can and the Aztec. And you're the widest Dorito, so you want to get on the tape and battle the corner if there is one, and then wrap the outside until you can move up to the next Dorito, because from there you get to shoot everyone. So I wouldn't really risk shooting inside too much, if at all. I would stay strictly on that tape, battle that corner if there is one, and then just, continually check off bunkers and just wrap that outside and try and get down to that next Dorito, because once you get to that next Dorito, it's pretty much going to be game over. You're going to shoot everybody. So don't worry about the inside too much when you get to that 50 Dorito. Worry about the tape and try and wrap from the outside and try and get down the field and shoot more people out. So that's how you're going to play the snake in the Dorito side every point. Get down both sides of the field and get to where the shots are, and then finish out the game that way. And it's going to be like that every single point. The breakouts vary off the break just to get shots here, shots there, to get your guys out wide, or to stay up at the center a little bit and just worry about the lanes and then fill out. But the goal of every breakout I gave you, except for the last one, that was to punish them when they go down the middle. But the other 4 breakouts, they're all going wide. Even that 5th one, after that initial breakout, you got to fill out wide and push the tapes, because that's how you're going to win. And then, it doesn't matter what breakout, as soon as you get into those Doritos, it's the same time every time. And same with the snake, it's the same thing every time once you get into the snake. That's why I just want to get that all the way first. That way I don't have to re-explain everything as I start getting to the breakouts and, the different variations of the backfield and where you guys are breaking out to. Now, as for the lanes, you have pretty much 4 or 5 lanes from the back center. You're going to hit depending on the breakout and the goals from the breakout. But you have this one on Dorito side over the wedge, which is going to be the main lane you hit on this Dorito side. You're going to come off the back center some to hit this lane, and then you can tuck in and protect yourself a little bit from this Aztec on the snake side, and then just pound that Dorito. And you can also shoot before the can as well, from over the back center, if you have people tall enough to do that. You also can shoot before the temple over the cake, if you have people, again, tall enough to do that. At my local field, I could still shoot before the temple from the side of the cake. It just depends on how it's set up, and you'll have to look for that, when you get to the field, Sometimes that temple can be a little more tucked in on some fields and then a little out wide. It just depends on how, accurate that grid is set up. On the side of this temple over the mini race, that's that main lane. And you're going to shoot this lane right here more than anything. It's easier to shoot and you have a better chance to shoot people, as compared to that one before the temple. This one on the outside, it's a little easier to shoot. It is really going to increase, how many people you shoot off the break. The third lane is right before the snake, and you're going to switch to this lane only if you're missing them on the main lane, right over that mini race. And that's only if they're going to keep going snake off the break and they make it alive. Then you're going to use this third lane. Otherwise, I want you just to keep shooting this main lane over that mini race. And that's going to give you the most success, and that's going to give you the most odds to shoot somebody. So really nail down that lane over the mini race, and you're going to do wonders, trying to win that snake side. Now I want to talk about the guy going Dorito side. He's doing this every breakout. He's coming out to the pillar, then dipping into the Dorito. Each breakout he either shoots over the wedge, or he comes out quickly and shoots up the middle at the back center, and then at that guy up the middle at the can. The guy coming to this can either goes from the middle or out a little wider. So shooting up at the back center, you'll get him that way when he comes in the middle. And then when you switch your gun to the outside of the can, you can try and get him that way. If not, at least you're forcing him to tuck in and put his gun down or shoot snake side. If he doesn't, you should be able to shoot him if you're accurate with your shot. You're going to do that for a moment, and then you're going to dip into the Dorito. And then as for your shots, when you get to the Dorito too, if you want, you can stay on that can on the inside and just pound him and try and get him out. Or you're going to go on the outside of the Dorito and you're going to check the corner, the mini race, and your mirror. Make sure you keep your hopper tucked in though. They can pick that apart from your mirror. The pillar, the wedge, or the can can also shoot your hopper, so it's very crucial to keep it tucked in at this Dorito. You want it to be almost horizontal. So remember that when you get into this Dorito, as soon as you dip in, just tilt that gun, almost 90 degrees, just so it can still feed paint, but you want that hopper very protected, otherwise you're going to get shot and you're going to be like, really? Like, this sucks. I just got hit in the freaking hopper. If they get in the snake, you have to stay really tight and try to move up the Dorito side, or you're just going to get shot in the back, because just how that Dorito's angled, you're going to be pretty exposed. If he gets in there, you really got to hug that outside of that Dorito on the Dorito side of it and really play tight, or he's going to shoot you in the pack. So you want to either get up to that D3 and then into the 50 Dorito as soon as you can. So you really want to try and play those Doritos pretty quick. Like I mentioned earlier, and get to that Dorito 3. That's why you have to have that in the back of your head. Say, I gotta get to this next Dorito pretty quick and shoot who's shooting at you and just make that bump. And then there's one other way to play this spot. I mentioned in a couple different breakouts, instead of shooting straight up the middle off the break, as he comes out wide, he's going to shoot over that wedge. So what he's going to do is he's going to come out, still be protected behind that can, and shoot over that wedge as he goes up into the pillar. Then he shoots that shot at the can or his mirror at the pillar. And as he's coming up into the pillar, he's going to switch his gun and shoot inside. And then he's going to be able to put that can in or the guy in the pillar, and then he's going to dip into the Dorito once those players are not shooting that gap anymore. And then he plays the Dorito just like I mentioned before, and he's going to try and get down that Dorito side. Now let's go over to the snake side here. As for that Aztec on snake side, this guy, he's doing this every breakout. I think the only breakout he's not doing this is that fifth one, but it's still pretty similar. But the rest of them, he's doing this. He comes off the start box, shoots at the back center and the temple. So he's going to come off around that temple, shoot the back center, and then just shoot the guy coming up into the temple that's trying to shoot at him, if they play that temple. If he doesn't see anyone come to that temple, just, shift your gun back to that back center. No big deal. But he's going to keep shooting at him while he's coming into the Aztec. I have a player laying snake side from the back center every single breakout. So what the back center does is tell the guy in the Aztec where people go to on the snake side while the breakout's happening. And hopefully the guy going to the Aztec also can see using his peripheral vision that people go on snake side and where they're going. And he's going to either come into that Aztec and shoot where the widest player goes. So it might be his mirror, it could be the Aztec, the god, or the corner. It all just depends. But, he has to work with his teammate and use his peripheral vision to get that information so he knows where to shoot. And then, if they don't break out too wide, and they just break out at, like, say, his mirror or something, he can go over the top of the Aztec as well, because he will be shooting his gun the whole time, and he can just shoot at his mirror, and anyone wider that, even over the Aztec. You don't want to, do that every point, but he can do that, and if it's working for him, hey, keep doing it. You shooting over top that Aztec, you're getting a lot more information coming in, but, it's a little more risky because more people can shoot at you, but it's so beneficial to do it, and you're already coming off the board and shooting at the back center and that temple, so they shouldn't be able to shoot you because you should still have your gun on them as you're coming up into it, and then just shift your gun if you have to. If you see someone else that notices you, then you can just duck down and shoot around the side of it and shoot back up at your mirror or at that god or the corner. It just all depends on what's going on. That's one of those things you just got to read while you're doing it. And then on that fifth breakout, this guy, he's just going to shoot his lane after that can while coming into his Aztec. And then he shoots either before or after the temple to shoot anyone trying going wide into the god or into the corner. And that's all he's doing different on that fifth breakout. And then those three players, they're pretty much doing the same thing every point, every breakout I have set up, with just minor variations and shooting over that wedge or shooting up the middle, or shooting up the middle and shooting that lane after the can. And then that guy in the back center, he's just going to shoot that snake lane pretty much every time too. So that's the only variation really for those three. But that's just how it's going to work for all five breakouts. So I just want to get them out of the way. And the player going to the god, once he gets there, he has shots on the snake corner and his mirror. And that's going to be his primary focus, are those two bunkers. If they get into the snake, he can also shoot over that beam here into snake 1 to help shut that down. His duty is going to be not to let anyone get past that snake 1 until he can get into the snake himself. He's going to want to shoot that shot and try and wait until the gap is clear of paint and go through that gap and get into the snake. If there's a guy in the temple or the back center pounding that gap there, he can wrap the outside of this Aztec if no one's in his mirror in his corner shooting at him, or even go over the top a little bit and shoot at the temple or the back center. He really has to play this kind of loose though to get those shots to get into the snake. Breakout 2, every shot's been pretty much covered. And then as we go into breakout 3, I have a guy going to the snake corner, and he's running out and shooting back at that temple on the inside while running to the corner. Then once he gets to the corner, he's staying pretty much to the outside of that corner. He's going to shoot down the snake tape at his mirror and at the god to keep them out of the snake. He can shoot inside or over the top at the can for the person and the god to get into the snake. He can also step out wide and shoot at the back center or the temple if no one is in the corner or god. He's just trying to get his guy into the snake, and that's pretty much it. And up the field and keep them out of the snake. If his guy gets shot out, he's going to fill the snake if he needs to. But his main shots are just his corner and that god, and then if they go to that cannon, they're shooting snake side, or if they go to that temple and they're shooting snake side, he's going to have to play that corner a little more loose and try and get some paint back at that the temple, the back center, or that can to get his guy from the god into the snake. Breakout 4, the Dorito corner is doing the same thing as the snake corner was doing, but on the Dorito side, he's shooting at the can while going out to the corner. Once he's in the Dorito corner, he's going to stay on the outside, shoot his mirror. If someone is there, then wrap at the D1, mini erase, D2, and the pillar, the wedge, and the can. So, I mean, he gets a lot of shots from that corner, and he can really put a lot of pressure on that Dorito side once he gets out to that Dorito corner, which is why we want to send him out there. Breakout 5. This one's really the only one that's really too much different than the rest of them. And this one's just going to be to shut down that center play if anyone wants to do that center play. But you have a guy going to the inside temple, and he's going to stay snake side and shoot that gap over the mini race. And that's about it. You don't want to let them get wider than that gap. If they do manage to make it through the lanes and get wider than that, try and shoot at them from that spot, or shoot in front of them, like a gap in front of them, so they don't get into the snake, or keep them from getting out wider. And, I mean, you have shots like your mirror and whatnot, but your main focus from that temple is just keeping them out of the snake, and try not to get wider than that first gap that you're shooting off the break. Then we send a guy to the can. He shoots that lane next to the X before the Aztec, then switches it past the Aztec as he goes up into the can. He sees if anyone goes wider than that first Aztec, which is also that gap the guy from the temple shooting. And if anyone gets out wider than that, he just has to, keep an eye out on him, because he's going to go up to the Snake X, and he's going to shoot at the widest guy. So hopefully he's just at that Aztec, and whoever went out wider than that gets shot by the few lanes that we have going over there. But then he's going to wrap from the X and make a run for their temple, shooting the pillar, the can, the Doritos, that mini race, and the corner. And if he's still alive after he shoots anyone that's in any of those bunkers, he's going to try and shoot the temple that's on the other side, if anyone's there. And really anyone else still on the field, like that Aztec on Snake side, or really anyone else on Snake side. And then he's going to go finish off the back center if he can. And that's, if he's still alive. I mean, this play is really just trying to punish anyone that goes to that can and that temple a lot. Any teams that do that and try to play up the center a lot. So we're trying to shoot anyone they send out wide, Snake side, and then just go pound that, get whoever's out of that can and whoever's out of that temple real quick, and anyone on D side that we can. Really just break that game open so the rest of the team can spread out wide and finish it off. And that's pretty much the shots for everything. You guys might play the mini race in the back though. I don't have it on any of the breakouts, because it's pretty much the exact same thing as Dorito 2. You stay tape side, you shoot the corner, your mirror, and then you wrap on the D2, the pillar, the wedge, the can, etc. And keep in mind when you're in this mini race too, you still got to keep your hopper almost horizontal in there too, just like if you're playing at Dorito 2, because everyone has that same shot on you. But yeah, it's the exact same thing as that Dorito 2, but you're forced in D1. You can't really move up to the Dorito 3, which is why I like the Dorito 2 better. I mean, sure, you're hidden from the snake a little better in this mini race, but you don't play to hide. You play to win and go shoot people. So you should be wanting a spot where you can move down the field better. So ultimately, I think the Dorito 2 is much better to play than this mini race, because if they get in that can, you're stuck in that D1 if you get out to that D1. If you guys decide to play the can, I don't have it really in any of the breakouts except that last one, and it's really just a temporary bunker to get up to scan the field and then go to the X. But it's not a bad bunker, honestly. You can shoot the Dorito side or the Snake side from it and lock it down really well from that can. If you shoot Dorito side, you're gonna just keep your eye on whoever goes out the widest. Mainly, they're probably gonna go to the Dorito 2 or that can. So that's where your focus is gonna be. If you shoot inside from the can, which is also nice, you shoot either that gap before the snake or before the god, and lock down the field. And that's pretty much what you're going to do from that can. But that's basically it for the shots. Just make sure you guys push the tapes. You want to push the tapes and get to the nice bunkers like the Snake 4 and the D4. The webcast is going to get people playing the middle because the pros did due to the weather conditions, but that's fine. Unless they try to do run-throughs, the middle isn't ever effective enough to win games, so stacking up the middle is not a really good game plan. I mean, putting a guy up there to lock the field down on one side is a nice, game plan, but stacking in the middle like that isn't doing you anything, so if teams want to do that, let them do that. Just be cautious of someone shooting across the field before you bump to the next bunker, and watch for run-throughs, and you'll be fine. As you guys get out wide, especially breaking out to the corners, it's really going to put pressure on whoever goes up that middle, so yeah, just let them do it, and just keep breaking out wide and trying to push up the middle, push up the tapes, and if it's not working for you, do that breakout number 5 I gave you guys, where you're just going to run through and just clear them out of the middle, and that's going to have them second guessing going up that middle. And if they keep doing it, keep doing it. And, but yeah, that's pretty much everything. Hope you guys do well. If you guys got any questions, feel free to ask me.